It is morning here, so there's no news to speak of yet. But there will be. It's clear as crystal that the root of all evil is exactly that, and those in whom it is blooming are the enemy of humanity. The bankers are the problem. The bankers manufacture recessions and depressions to exert a greater control over social and political structures. The bankers create and finance the wars on both sides of the conflicts. The bankers orchestrate famine, poverty, and want. The bankers control the policies that control the media and the education system that is operated to maintain ignorance in the public so that they can be shorn like sheep. The bankers launder the drug money and keep drugs illegal. The bankers are the problem.
Greetings world. We are on DK. Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un would be delighted to just keep trading insults at each other for the indefinite future, even as North Korea launches the occasional ballistic missile. But U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley has said enough is enough. Besides fake news, enough is the saying of the times. What is the enough that America has had enough of? People in other countries having rights to sovereignty and freedom outside USA control. Would America take the same treatment it puts on others from a foreign country? No, but America insists on controlling every country and every person in the world. And with the increase of the rumors of wars, we see the magician's hands change to North Korea to keep us from looking at what? This is what we will find out. The elite central focal points in the world are Jerusalem and Rome, so our gaze must include these areas at all times. The three elite control centers, London, Washington D.C. and the Vatican, are all in play here. All wars are planned and controlled by the elite to make profit off of your death, regardless of what is said by news and government outlets, which only create propaganda and lies. One thing remains certain in all of this. America and Israel, who are controlled by Rome, will always have war, whatever the cost. There are no other countries interested in war. There are no other countries built on the amount of false fears as the US and Israel are. The only enemies they have are the ones they create. We see the same script repeated in the North Korean war false flag, just as it was on September 11, 2001, Pearl Harbor, and every other war. U.S. views this war as a means to bring Americans back to God, as stated by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson in Washington, D.C. This would make it a holy war. Officially, America has announced it is on a crusade, a jihad. Why would America announce a crusade? Simple. It does whatever Israel tells it to do. Israel, it seems, is in it for the untouched gold mines, rich in resources rotting in North Korea. Just like Russia, North Korea has had sanctions imposed on it, crippling the country. For many decades now, Israel trades with North Korea despite sanctions and has even sent gifts of gold to them in the past. The elite always take care of their own. Now Israel's propaganda about North Korea has led to a warning to Israel from their friend Kim Jong-un to, quote, think twice about the consequences to be entailed by its smear campaign against the DPRK to cover up the crimes of occupying Arab territories and disturbing peace process in the Middle East, end quote. The next coming planned war of the elite is the destruction of Jerusalem by a Muslim force. We have known this for many decades now. This will play out as planned. We can easily find Israel's boisterous war babbling on any news platform now. According to Israel, if Iran does not, quote, stop it, end quote, then Israel will bomb the crap out of Syria, as it has before with sarin gas and more, because that is the only logical step, knowing America will bomb anything that attempts to breathe freely. After all, if creating a billion-dollar movie about assassinating a leader of a country is not a declaration of war, what is? According to America, since they are the self-appointed global police, liberating everyone from a free and peaceful life, it is all about the censorship and control. What else is being said about this war? North Korean official KCNA news agency denounced Washington and Seoul as warmongers, war maniacs, and dull immature infants. Vatican puppet Freemason Mike Pence has stated USA will always seek peace, but under President Trump the shield stands guard and the sword stands ready. We cannot decide which part of this statement is more hilarious, suggesting the American government has ever been interested in peace, or the image of Trump with a shield and a sword. Israel simply says what it always does, that the USA will handle it. Meanwhile, the Pope acts as though he is opposed to war by shaking his bloody finger at North Korea and telling it to be nice. All the while he sits wrapped in gold, the prize he received for the bodyline path he left in Argentina. However, let us continue further in North Korea. Let us break it down for you. How North Korea really works. Korea is a protectorate of Japan. In 1945, during the Potsdam Conference, Korea was divided into two of the 38th parallel, North Korea for the Communists, and South Korea for all others. Koreans were not involved in this decision as the UK, USA and Soviet Union took care of it. Once again we see clearly the elite's links. Joseph Stalin, Freemason extraordinaire, using Soviet Union soldier comrade Kim Il-sung, who was stationed in Manchuria, as the new poster child puppet ruler. So the Kim cult family was created through Soviet Russia, by the CIA Mossad KGB alliance, and placed in the spotlight of propaganda to once again rewrite history in a false narrative, keeping the perpetrators of the control system protected, with the North taking care of the Japanese who owned Korea at the time. Gave the South to USA. It is yet another American colony under the control of the Rothschilds in London who own them all, led by a puppet ruler. We have exposed the puppetry of South Korea in previous articles and videos. One article in the Asahi Shimbun, a Japanese newspaper, dated June 7, 1937, 3 days after the skirmish, says a little more than 100 men led by communist bandit Choi Hyun attacked Pakenbo. Kim Il-sung's legitimacy came from propaganda that he fought against Japan, symbolized by the Battle of Pakenbo. Mr. Kato continues writing, schools in North Korea teach children that the battle was a glorious victory against Japan led by Kim Il-sung. Cult mindset shown by brainwashed North Koreans is no different than that seen in Catholics regarding the Pope, Americans regarding Hollywood and political movements. All cults are the same. Propaganda increases the star quality. The Republic of Korea was recognized in 1948 by the United Nations as the only valid government in Korea. Denmark and Portugal have diplomatic relations with North Korea. United Kingdom did not engage in a war with the Republic of North Korea because they do not admit that there is such a country. However, Harold Ellison stated, when change comes in North Korea, it will come quickly, and the shock of it will send more than just ripples across Southeast Asia. The international community must ensure that it is ready for the change and is capable of responding with initiatives that are both effective and sustainable. We must not allow ourselves to be caught off guard, or to be overwhelmed by the sudden but foreseeable collapse of a communist dictatorship. The world needs a clear plan for managing change in Korea, and Great Britain, with all its experience, contacts and commitments, has an important role to play in developing it. So we see the typical elite war. The Soviet Union backed North Korea, chased the South further down, helped as usual by the American soldiers under UN authority, who ordered women and children in South Korea to relocate to other towns, only for them to be slaughtered as the American military had planned the ambush and genocide of them all. That is the America the world knows. The Korean War in 1950 was nothing more than the Russian elite hand of order funneling death, violence and hate into the American elite hand of chaos. A low estimate of 1.2 million people were slaughtered, all for profit and depopulation. These are the games the elite play, both hands working together against you. So the Pan Kim Sung was controlled by the Soviet Union. Kim's son Kim Jong-il was also born in Russia. He also made sure his children had schooling in top Western schools, that they were fluent in many languages, that they were trained according to the elite control. Kim Jong-il set up his son to be protected, and in that way he would be able to be an independent ruler of North Korea. However, this would never be. Now we see Kim Jong-un. He attended the private Liebfeldstein LZLI school near Bern, Switzerland, where he was nurtured by the CIA like his fathers before him. He is a Freemason and just another puppet under their rule. The ruling system of the Kim Sung cult is now controlled by the elite's shadow government. The elite control North Korea through the Organization and Guidance Department. OGD First Deputy Directors Kim Kyung-ok Cho Yeon-jun, Won Pyong-so and Ministry of State Security Director Kim Won-hong are those who control Kim Jong-un directly today. All policy proposals by party, military or government institutions are routed through the OGD Central Party at Headquarters No. 1. The General Political Bureau of the Korean People's Army has been a sub-branch of the OGD since 1992. Ri Yong-nam, who is the son of deceased OGD First Deputy Director Ri Jae-gang, served as the party secretary of the North Korean Embassy in Moscow, has been recalled to Pyongyang. It is thought that he will follow in the family line and take on significant responsibilities in the OGD. Pak Tae-song and Ri Jong-chan, who were very close to OGD First Deputy Director Kim Kyung-ok in the days of Ri Jae-gang's leadership of the OGD, may join Ri Yong-nam in similar roles. And let us not forget to look for Kim Jong-un's older brother Kim Jong-chol. These are the ones who pull puppet Kim's strings. He was forced to execute a purge of 200 officials his father had put in place to keep him protected from the OGD. No sane man could do these actions without being intoxicated as Kim Un was. These are not the actions of a person in control of his leadership. That is how a person forced to purge reacts, just as he was forced to purge his uncle in order to solidify the elite's control. Weak men are easily used. The facade of Kim Jong-un's absolute legitimacy was ruined in the eyes of North Koreans by the process of the purge. Many have now woken up. Most things said about North Korea comes from US propaganda. 2 years ago Kim was 33 years old, with a 1983 birthday. Last year he was 33 years old again, this time with a 1984 birthday. Both times the US media brought attention to this. The propaganda started long ago. People do not pay attention to the code placed in front of them. Let us look at more of America's experiments in propaganda on North Korea. Since the early 1950s, numerous operations have been carried out by CIA and Mossad in North Korea and Asia. Operation Bluebird, also called Operation Artichoke, and has been renamed many times since. Most everything the elite do has multiple names, making it easy for people who do not do the research necessary to make very elementary mistakes. The American Nazi SS and naval mind control and interrogation tools developed out of Project Chatter were in full effect and expanded in the US North Korean aggression. During this time the Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean had perfected mind control techniques, which the CIA stole and used. Canada and Britain's mind control programs have been functioning since pre-World War I. America's started during. The fear of nuclear war spread by American propaganda these last years has not sold. The Russian bear did not bite, leaving the American eagle still bald as ever, holding the weapons of war. So it has traveled somewhere new, though still Russian. and it will sell nuclear war coming from the censored North Korean country. Even though it has been long proven that nuclear bombs do not and never can exist. You can see ours and others' multiple documents and articles exposing this hoax. The International Atomic Energy Agency and its boss Yukiya Amano and the dictator of North Korea are part of the hoax. They are paid like everyone else to lie. This will not stop the elite calling whatever they want a nuclear bomb, or whatever other sort of bomb they decide to imagine. Whatever lies they tell the American public obeys, and the rest of the world, unable to take on the US, must follow along or be targeted for deletion. It would end if people would stop listening to propaganda and start using facts. We saw it all before with Russia, the provoking and aggressive military activity towards the county that has done nothing to USA. Meanwhile, the false flags continue. An aircraft carrier and an armada of warships sent from America to North Korea is not considered aggression or an act of war as it is done by the USA. They are quick to point the finger to deny responsibility themselves. If USA attacks first, it is called preventative war. All is forgiven. Just the same for any so-called holy war or crusade. Those who commit mass genocide to occupy other countries to force their own indoctrination on the people. So now North Korean Foreign Ministry has issued a war statement against the Americanas, saying, quote, "We will hold the U.S. wholly accountable for the catastrophic consequences to be entailed by its outrageous actions." End quote. The U.S. is right now prepared to attack North Korea on command and has declared war. But people must believe the propaganda and live in fear that the unknown are always out to get the Americans. You must believe the ridiculous lies that North Korea, of all countries, has atomic weapons floating around our heads in space. Run for your lives. Build your walls. Hold on to your guns, as no real enemy exists. The US government creates its own. North Korea is a weapons manufacturing reliant country, just like USA, Israel, Russia and others. Like Israel and USA, it stands unchecked. The little money left in North Korea after the last two dictatorships is still enough to buy and make weapons and sell to Russia, China, Libya, Iran, Syria and others. This self-sustaining military production system works and thrives as the rest of the country's productions die. There is no food or housing for people, but they have weapons. An intelligence brief from 2013 explains how the USA is supporting North Korea. It states, "It can now be reported that a P-140 U.S. aircraft cargo plane left Langley, Virginia at 3:30 p.m. EST, destination North Korea. The aircraft contains $3 billion that was made available by the Dallas branch of the German Commerzbank. The $3 billion will be delivered directly to North Korea dictator Kim Jong-un by U.S. officials. The U.S. team is headed by former Clinton administration official, North Korean bagman Bill Richardson. Israel and America give weapons and money to North Korea. In 2000, a Swiss company called AB sold nuclear reactors to North Korea. From 1990 to 2001, Donald Rumsfeld served on the board of AB. As the money flows, the bombs fly. This is the art of the deal. This is how the elite play the game on the world stage with their puppet princes and politicians. And we have not even talked about the North Korean human trafficking for organs that is done by Israel and others. State law enforcement investigative officials from Tallahassee, D.C., the FBI and the U.S. Customs Department discovered that the finders' cult had international connections for satanic ritualistic abuse of children in Moscow, Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, North Vietnam, North Korea, Africa, London, Germany, Europe and the Bahamas, not to mention the abductions of South Korean and Japanese children by North Korea in order to create spies. Naturally, they make and export heroin, and as we already know full well, anything the CIA is involved in deals in heroin. Much is hidden, but by the scraps we find, we can still clearly see the elite hands working in North Korea. as they do everywhere. Just as in the UK, USA, Russia, South Korea and other countries, they use symbolic posts or appointed as proxies in the surface manifestations, creating the illusion of actual power structure. And just as in the rest of the world, North Koreans are being disillusioned and seeing the reality of the puppet government. We have seen this time and time again in history. It only ends one way. As is typical in other oppressive countries, the people are waking up. It is spurring on a revival of Christ believers in North Korea. North Korea views Christianity as a direct threat to the nation. As all elites do, North Korean Christians are not simply killed for their faith in Christ. They are pulverized with steamrollers, used to test biological weapons, shipped off to death camps or shot in front of children, while newborn babies have their brains pithed with forceps in front of their mothers. All the classic Jesuit techniques. As tensions rise, so does Bitcoin. The elite make wars to make money. The Bank of London, which owns Ethereum, gas and other cryptocurrencies, will be cashing in big on this one. As the elites continue to collapse currencies across the world, so this next false war will collapse what little is left standing. Just by deploying troops, most countries involved, including the United Kingdom, will collapse, leaving everyone with no alternative but what the elite offer. All while the elite make profits off the digital currencies they are funneling people into using right now. This sudden increase of cryptocurrency will make it unreliable and it will collapse. These plans to switch from gold-backed currency to digital have been further verified by the Bilderberg meeting and dark operations. The question here is, what is planned for this September? We know another goal of the war will be to bring in world peace, a false peace, under the global government. Countries who will not easily allow themselves to be under foreign control will be destroyed until they must. With this in mind, we look to Israel and Rome, for all roads lead to Rome, through Jerusalem, as they are the upper elite's central locations. North Korea is just part of the game. It is all fake. Israel, UK, China, Russia, and USA are all joint oligarchies in the game together. Get ready to play. The global game is just about to begin. New World Order, here we come. Expect it.
You possess the power to impact the global narrative and to be part of the history. Please share this report, and to be the first to see more videos like this, click the subscribe link below. Thank you for watching. History repeats itself.